Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful overbust corset. If you're interested in learning, please keep on watching. Also, don't forget to like, share and comment. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. And if this is your first time, please kindly subscribe so you can see more of my upcoming videos. In my next video, I'm definitely going to be putting this on to show you guys how it fits on me. So I'm going to start by drawing out the corset pattern, and I'll be using the edge of the pattern paper as the shoulder line. From the shoulder, I marked my nipple point, which is 9 inches, my underbust 14 inches, my waistline 17 inches, and my hip line. I did the same thing on the other side of the pattern paper so as to have a straight line. After that, I connected with a ruler. I also label the lines to avoid mistakes on the process. So after labeling them, from the waistline, I came down by 5 inches. This 5 inches is going to serve as the corset length. Next is to mark my shoulder measurement. On the shoulder line, I divided my shoulder measurement by 2, which is 16 inches divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. And I also marked the standard neckline measurement, which is 3 by 3 inches, and connected. From that point where I marked the shoulder measurement, I came down by 1 inches and then drew the shoulder slope. Next is to determine the chest line, and to do that, you divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you have is what you will mark as the chest line. Then you measure what you have from that point to the bust point and mark across the pattern so as to have a straight line. To get the armhole, I measured what I had on the shoulder at those points and connected with a straight line. After that, I divided my bust circumference by 4 and marked. Then on this line, I divided it into 2 to get the midpoint. From that point, I came in by ½ inch. Then using the curved ruler, I connected from that bust measurement I already marked before to the ½ inch, then to the shoulder, as you can see. So after connecting the markings, this is the armhole. Next is to mark the nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple is 8, divided by 2 will give me 4. So from the bust point, I marked 4 inches down to the hip line, and after that, I connected with a straight line. So now the next thing I did was to mark my dart intake. I'll be using a dart of 2 inches. On the underbust, towards the side facing the armhole, I marked 1½ inches. Then on the other side, I marked ½ inch, making it a total of 2 inches. From the center front of the hip line, I came in by 1 inch. I measured what I have as the underbust tightening, which is the 2 inches dart intake, and then I bring it back to the hip line, starting from the 1 inch. And after that, I go ahead to draw my slanted line. Also, using my French curve, I placed it this way and connect from my underbust to my bust point. I did the same thing on the other side as well. After that, next is to insert the body measurements. At the bust point, I marked my bust circumference divided by 4. I also did the same thing on the underbust. Then I measured the dart intake and replaced. Also, on the waistline, I marked my waist circumference divided by 4. I measured the dart intake of 2 inches and replaced. I did the same thing on the hip line as well. So after that, I connected the markings as so. So on this shoulder area here, I'm going to divide what I have here into two, then I'll connect straight down to meet the bust point. After that, the next thing to do is to mark the side that from the bust point, I came down by 1.5 inches, then I connected from that 1.5 inch to the bust point area as so. The side dart, also known as the bust dart, is the difference between the front half length and the back half length. My front half length is 17, while my back half length is 15. So the difference is 1.5. Once that was done, the next thing I did was to measure 3.5 inches from the chest line. Now this is where I want that sharp pointed neckline to start from. From that 3.5, I marked a straight line across. Then I went out on both sides by 3/4 for the overbust tightening. I also went ahead to connect from that point to the bust point like so. Then I extended the dart to the shoulder. Once you are through with that, the next thing is to close up your side dart. But before I close up my side dart, I need to draw out my neckline. So to do that, I need to cut through my bust line to my bust point like so. Once you are done, you can now fold in the darts on the upper parts like so. You can use a tape to hold it down, or you use a pin to pin it down. After that, I went ahead to mark my neckline from that point where I marked 3.5 inches. Depending on how deep you want your neckline, you can either go half or 1 inches below the chest line or above the chest line, however you want it. But for me, I chose to maintain the chest line, so my neckline stopped at the chest line. I will also mark from that point to the armhole, but first I need to replace the dart I took on the armhole side. You remember the 3/4 inch dart I took on the both side for the overbust tightening. I need to replace it on the armhole so that after sewing, the boobs will not be showing. After that, I connected the marking as so. Then I placed my curved ruler this way, then connect from that point where I marked the 3.5 to the new armhole. So now I need to open up this place this way in order to close up the bust dart. And to close up the bust dart, I need to cut through the line at the center, that first line at the center before the darts. So I need to open up that line in order to enable me close up the darts. So after that, I can now move my pattern paper, as you can see. Then I closed up the bust dart and used a pin to secure it down. After pinning it down, I connected the new armhole to the waistline like so. Next is to create a side dart, and to do that, I placed my ruler in a slanted form and I draw a slanted line. I didn't really measure it. I'm going to snatch my waist a bit, so on the new line, I marked 1/2 inch on the both side of the line and then I connected the marking as so. So I'll do this 1/2 each side darts on the front and on the back pattern as well. This is going to reduce my waist by I think 2 inches or so. Then I'll close up the darts. After I was done with that, the next thing I did was to mark 1 inch sewing allowance on the chest line, the waistline, and the hip line. I connected the marking, and after that, I used my scissors to cut through. I see the moon, I see the moon, I see the moon. Oh, when you're looking at the sun, you're not a fool, not a fool, not a fool. No, you're not fooling anyone. So after cutting, this is what I have. I went ahead to hold back the three ends together to enable me impute a curve. If you notice on the down part of the clothes, there is a curve there. So to get that curve, on the center front, I came down by 1 inch from the corset line. Then on the other side, which is the shaping side, I came in by 1.5 inches from the hip line. From that 1 inch on the center front, I draw a curve to meet the 1.5 inches on the other side. You have to use your pencil to outline it first in case there's a mistake so that you'll be able to clean it before using your marker. You can just do a freestyle of however you want the curve to be. So after marking out the curve that I wanted using the pencil, I now went ahead to use my marker to make the lines more visible before cutting it. I also labeled the center front, the middle front, and the side front. After that, I removed the tape I used in holding them together, and we are done with the front pattern. Without wasting much time, let's move over to the back pattern. For the back pattern, I've already inserted the body measurements into the pattern paper. That is the shoulder to the bust point, shoulder to the waistline, and shoulder to the corset length and hip line, just like I did in the front pattern. The only difference is that I marked the half length at 15.5. You know the back half length is shorter than the front half length. So to determine where to cut off for the eyelets, on the chest line, I came in by 2.5 inches. Then on the corset length, I also came in by 1.5 inches. I did this because I want the lacing at the back to be in a V shape. You can decide to make your own straight. It's a matter of choice. Then after that, I connected the slant line. I'll cut off the unwanted parts, and that line is where I'll be fixing my eyelets. So now to get the back dart, from that line where I'll be fixing the eyelets, I came in by 2.5 inches on the chest line. I did the same thing on the corset length. Then I connected the markings. Then for the side dart, I measured what was remaining on the waistline and made a mark on the midpoint. Then I connected from the chest line to the corset length with a straight line like so. For the dart intake, I went in and out of the dart leg by 0.5 inch on the waistline. So I connected from there to the chest line like so. After that, I extended the 0.5 inches for the darts all the way down to the corset length. I also did the same thing on the side darts. I see the moon, I see the moon, I see the moon. Oh, when you're looking at the sun. When I was done, next is to get my side front pattern to match up with the back side pattern. Then I'll trace the hemline, the curve on the hemline into the corset length like this. Then I'll blend it in. I see the moon, I see the moon, I see the moon. Oh, when you're looking at the sun. When you're done with all of that, next thing you want to do is to draw your back neckline. To do that, you can go down a bit from the chest line, either by 1 inch or however you want it. Then you connect from that point into the armhole. But me, I want my back neckline to be straight, so I maintained the chest line. The next thing I did is to close up the darts and then remove the tape I used in securing the pattern paper. After that, I used my scissors to cut out the pattern. Always remember to label the pattern so you don't mix them up. Here I have my center back, the middle back, and the side back. After cutting the pattern, this is what I have. So here I've gone ahead to cut out my fabrics, adding 1/2 inch all around it except on the center front. I also cut out the lining piece and the hairstay. After that, the next thing is to cut wording for the lining piece, and to do that I bring back my center front and my middle front and made a mark on the underbust. Then I placed my wording on fold. I placed the lining piece on the wording like so, and I cut from the upper part to the underbust.
I see the moon, I see the moon, I see the moon. Oh, when you're looking at the sun, you're not a fool, not a fool, not a fool. No, you're not fooling anyone.
After cutting out the wording, this is what I have: the center front and the 2 middle fronts. We've come to the end of this video. If you're interested in the sewing part, just hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post the sewing video. Thanks for watching.